So I was surfing the internet one day when I came across this quote, and it says that your ability to love others is only limited by your ability to love yourself. And so it really got me thinking one day as to what self-love actually was and why was it so hard for this generation in particular to conquer this concept. And I believe that I finally understood the answer to this, which led me to ask the question, well, why do we suffer before we succeed? Why is it that we have to go through the bad times in our lives in order for us to see the good? Now, before I can tell you guys the answer to this question, we first must understand what suffering is. So by definition, suffering is the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardships. This definition within itself sounds depressing, but it is merely a state of mind. So now that I've told you guys what suffering is, well, why does it happen? I'm very aware that there are numerous amounts of reasons as to why one may suffer, but for the sake of time, I've narrowed it down to 3 key reasons. Number 1, we suffer from our desires. Before I move forward, I want to say that desire is not a bad thing. It's not bad to desire for a new car or a nicer home or more money. Desire becomes unhealthy when we want something so bad that we allow it to dictate our worth. Many believe that if they satisfy their cravings, maybe then they will be happy. Maybe then they will feel complete. But for some of us, we go our lives searching for the next best thing, only to realize that there's actually no next best thing, and we leave ourselves unsatisfied. But there's an explanation for this, which leads us into our second factor, our ego. We suffer from our ego. So what is our ego? Our ego is essentially our sense of self. And I'll give you guys an example. Say something that you thought was interesting happened to you, and you go tell your friend the story. Now, as you're telling the story to your friend, you realize that you're actually over-exaggerating parts of that story to make yourself seem better than you actually are. This is just one example of our ego. Other examples are feelings of arrogance, envy, jealousy, resentment. All of these emotions are products of our egos. But society has a way of influencing our thoughts about ourselves and other people, which leads me into our third and final factor. We suffer because society has taught us to. Let me put it this way. We live in a consumerist society, meaning in order for society to go on and advance, we must be constantly buying product in order for our currency to circulate. Society's way of selling you their product is by telling you that you're not good enough. Buy this makeup and maybe you'll feel better about yourself. Buy this luxurious car and maybe girls will want you. That's not even the problem. The problem is that we see and are fed so much of these lies that we actually begin to believe that it is reality. So now that I've told you guys what suffering is, why it happens, well, why is it essential in order for us to succeed? Whatever you define success to be, everybody has their own definition of success. But it is essential in life because sufferings are actually blessings in disguise. Everything you've been through, all the people you've met, all the choices you've made have led you to this point in time. Which is where I want to leave you guys, is if you are having thoughts that are persistent and they are negative, I encourage you guys to allow your thoughts to come into your head and become aware of it. Too often we are not understanding of our own mentality, and because of that we distort our perception of reality. So I really want you guys to treat yourself like someone you love. That is my idea worth spreading. I really hope you guys can take something from my talk. My name is Chloe. Thank you guys for listening.